Hello family, my name is Chris, I am your home gamer dad, and it's time once again to call upon our friends and allies to defend the world. Right here in front of us are 5 powerful warriors from the Power Rangers universe, all willing to put their lives on the line to defend the worlds that they live in. So go ahead and sit down and get ready for another Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid Ally Breakdown, Volume 3. Always with these ally breakdowns, you kind of gotta take the word ally very loosely. Like, generally speaking, it's a ranger who doesn't always participate in the battle, one that kind of shows up here and there throughout the season, throughout the comic books, maybe a special appearance, a guest that was never part of the original 5 or 6 Rangers, and kind of like does their own thing in a way. I mean, Magna Defender right here is a very weird line. Like, when he is the Magna Defender, he is absolutely an ally. But when Mike takes over the role, which is what this character is based on, he is definitely the 6th Ranger for the group, or at least people would see it that way. Dino Charge has a ton of Rangers that kind of become part of the main group in one time. Jarrod really just joins the group at the end. And Ellarien, Ellarien. I don't know her very well from the comics. I know she was kind of her own thing for a long time, and then she became part of the Solar Rangers. Quick fun thing about the Solar Rangers, they were actually made up of Rangers from other universes and other timelines, like Ellarien, I believe is how I'm going to pronounce that terribly all the time, kind of just seek them out in order to become part of the team that she was building to fight Drakon. And Mike was a Solar Ranger for a while, Heckyl was a Solar Ranger, I believe Andros was a Solar Ranger, Cam, the Green Ninja Storm was one, Kim, when she was a Ranger Slayer, was one, Tanya, Zio, 2, Yellow was one. Like, it's all of them actually exist in the game right now as their original forms. We're going over 2, technically 3 of them at one point. I would love to see a future Solar Ranger expansion with these same characters, but in those suits. I don't know, just something that came to mind as I was doing research for this episode, because I don't know much about the Solar Rangers. Anybody out there that have like a history and idea about that, that you want to share with us and everything, by all means, leave the cliff notes down in the description section, because the comics get really complicated at times. Anywho, let's talk about the 5 that we have in front of here and where you could find them if these are not in your collection already. Mike, as the Magna Defender, is in Ally Pack 1. You'll be able to find him in there with like Anubis and Ninjor. I've covered a bunch of these already on the channel. Some great characters within that. I mean, they all have pretty good characters, but Ally Pack 1 was a good standout because it had some really cool character combinations in there. Speaking of ally packs, ally pack number 3 is where you will find Kendell, along with a bunch of other female heroes throughout the course of the Ranger history. I love that set. Those are some great characters in there. Dr. K is fantastic to play with. I will always talk up every set so much, but I love the fact that it was all females. It was all, like, they were all super powerful and great. And I'm going to tell you, the Megazord for Kendell, the best solo Megazord ever, hands down. As far as Heckyl and Jarrod go, you'll be able to find them in the Light and Darkness Big Box pack. I love this pack because it really shows the duality of a lot of popular characters. Heckyl being Snide, Jarrod being Daishi. I mean, you had Taizan with his also evil monster form. You had Merrick with Zanaku. And then Liambo was also Korag, which I love. That was so cool. Definitely a set to look at if you want a cool balance between really strong, really unique heroes and monsters and bosses that you can go up against that give you a great challenge. And finally, Ellarien over here, you're going to be able to find in the Rangers United big box set. I've already covered the Beast Morphers that were in there, and I believe there was like a few, the Omega Rangers were also in there that I've already covered. So she's technically the last one of that set that I needed to cover to really like show everything in terms of the heroes from that. So check that out. Check those out as well on my channel. If you are interested in any one of these things at all, and it's something that you would think you would love to add to your collection, there are links down in the description section below. Using that link to go over to the Renegade website and purchase such set or whatever goes a long way to helping this channel grow. Trust me, it really does. It is extremely appreciated, and I thank each and every one of you that have done that over the course of however long I've been part of the affiliate program for Renegade. Thank you all again so much for your support. It really does mean the world to me. And speaking of support, why don't we go ahead and phone in some friends as we go ahead and defend the world. Ready? Here we go. Mike Corbett, the Magna Defender. Mike is the older brother to Leo Corbett, the Red Galaxy Ranger. During a battle, Mike fell into a pit and thought lost forever. However, the spirit of the Magna Defender saved him and used his body to exact revenge on those that took his son from him. Upon redeeming himself, the Magna Defender bestowed his powers onto Mike, telling him it was his destiny to fight for peace and justice, just as he used to. Mike accepted and became the new Magna Defender. Mike's special ability as the Magna Defender, Avenging Knight. Once per battle, after an enemy card deals damage to you, deal 1 damage to that enemy card. Basically, it's a counter move. So whatever comes at Mike, you generally sometimes want to be able to block with him in order to be able to activate a lot of his mechanics that are within his deck. He does need a lot of different cards in his discard pile to make the cards in his hand do better things. So with something like this, you kind of want to be the front line for a while with Mike in order to get those cards in, and at least with Avenging Knight, you're able to punch back at least one of them for a little bit of damage that always can make the difference between defeating an enemy and having it stick around longer and cause more chaos. His deck breaks down to 0 X energy cards, 6 0 energy cards, 2 1 energy, 1 2 energy, and 1 3 energy cards. He has 6 attacks, 2 maneuvers, 2 reactions, and the standard 3-4-3 Type A shield breakdown. Most of Mike's cards within his deck rely on the card of the same name, or at least something that's printed on the card, to be in the discard pile to power up whatever is in his hand. Now he has several ways that he can do this, whether it be absorbing damage coming in at him or using this card, Sacrifice. 0 cost maneuver card, discard the top card of your deck. Up to 2 other rangers in your location may each choose 1 card from their discard pile and add it to their hand or place it on top of their deck. So basically he is sacrificing the card that is on top of his deck, and if he knows what it is, could take advantage of it, you being able to power up something else in his hand. And then of course, any other rangers within that battle, or I'm sorry, up to 2 other rangers within that battle are able to take any card from their discard pile and put it back in their hand or put it on top of their deck in order to prepare for anything else coming into them. This is a great maneuver to have for somebody that played a really strong power weapon that you want back in their hand, play Sacrifice, and at least they get it back. Or you can have somebody that has a lot of star defense powers, start stacking their deck that way, getting those on top of their deck ready to go for anybody that's coming in order to hit them. And now the rest of these cards are pretty much going to follow the suit of, if it's in the discard pile, it powers up in your hand. Magna Defense, 0 cost reaction card. Play this card when any ranger suffers damage to reduce that damage by 2. If there is a card named Magna Defense in your discard pile, reduce that damage by 4. So as you can see, if you've used Magna Defense already, or if you've got it into your discard pile somehow, then you're able then to block 4 damage if this is in your hand and that's in your discard pile, as opposed to just 2. Now, reducing 2 damage is nothing to shake at. That is a really good ability to have regardless of anything, but that extra 1 damage, there's a lot of foot soldiers that'll do 3 damage, or monsters that'll do a 3 damage ping, where you're going to be losing a card regardless of anything because it only goes up to 3 shields. Having this Magna Defense at its powerful 4 defense is most likely enough to make sure a ranger doesn't lose a valuable card when going on the defense. Next we have the Noble Blow, an attack card, 0 cost, 2 dice. If there's a card named Noble Blow in your discard pile, gain 2 energy. So we have a defense card, and now we have a support card right here with the Noble Blow, being that if this is in the discard pile, boom, you gain 2 more energy. And having energy is vital for any team out there. It doesn't matter what team you play as, it doesn't matter what characters you have on the field. The more energy that you have in the shared pool, the better off your entire team is going to be. Which again, if you know where Noble Blow is, even if you have it in your hand, play it to throw the 2 dice in, an attack and just do whatever. And then later on in the fight, if your team needs energy, take a turn to play the other Noble Blow in your hand to build up that supply again. So this way on the next ranger turn, they can jump in there and do a powerful, powerful attack. From defense to support to straight up attack, Valiant Charge, attack 2 dice. If there's a card named Valiant Charge in your discard pile, add 2 dice to this attack. So effectively, it is a 1 cost 4 dice attack if this is in your discard pile. Now the issue is that if you have both of these in your hand right now, number 1, they're both 3 shields. So that's kind of awful to have there. You want to have as much defense as possible. But also a 1 cost 2 dice attack is really kind of lowballing it. Usually these things are range around 3 dice for 1 energy. However, again, if Valiant Charge is in your discard pile through a defense or through your own means using Sacrifice or something, fantastic to use this because that is a 4 dice attack right there for 1 energy. fantastic to have. I also like that if you look at the image on this, there's your Solar Rangers right there. You got Andros, you got Tanya, you got Kim, you got Cam back there, Heckyl's up in the upper corner, and of course, Mike is in the middle. This is before they became the Solar Rangers in order to help fight, I believe, Drakon or somebody in one of the Boom comic book arcs. So now the Magna Defender has actually 2 power weapons. It's really the same weapon, but it transforms into one and the other. First, the Magna Blaster right here, a 2 energy, 3 dice attack. Divide the damage from this attack among any number of targets. If there's a card named Magna Blade in your discard pile, you can see what the other one is, add 2 dice to this attack. So yes, so for 2 energy, if Magna Blade is in your discard pile, you then get a 5 dice attack that you can divide up as you choose between different targets. Remember, because these are all attacks and they're all specific targets that have to be picked out after the roll, the guard effect still takes, its course here. You can't hit a guard and then it flips over and then continue finishing off the attack. It all has to go down on the field at once. So it's something to keep in mind. It's kind of like the Blade Blaster or whatever, but in this case, you're spending 2 energy to roll 5 dice and then divide the damage should the Magna Blade be in the discard pile. Now, if the Magna Blaster was in the discard pile and the Magna Blade was in your hand, this is the ability you would get. 3 energy, a 5 dice attack. You may ignore the guard keyword when choosing a target for this attack. If there's a card named Magna Blaster in your discard pile, you may re-roll any number of dice during this attack. So the Magna Blaster, very good shotgunny type ability, spreading out the damage from all your attacks and things along that ways. The Magna Blade gets around guard because he's just getting in there and just slicing at him. A very strong, concentrated, targeted 5 dice attack. And if the Magna Blaster is in your discard pile, then you're able to gain at least 1 reroll from this card in order to do as much damage as possible. So as you can see, all the Magna Defender cards, well, except for Sacrifice, are all based on what is in his discard pile. When you're going through this, you can't shuffle the discard pile. It has to be in whatever order it is, but you can always go through it. Make sure you remember what's in your discard pile. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on your hand. Figure out, in certain ways, depending on who other Rangers you're playing with, if you can stack your deck in a certain way. And then, of course, just as things happen, build your power up, sacrifice your cards out in order to strengthen yourself, and you too can go on in to be a Magna Defender and defeat everything in front of you as a 6 Ranger, anti-hero, whatever he is, could. Lastly, we have his Torozord. Exhaust this card after any Ranger discards a card for defense. Deal an amount of damage to an already resolved enemy card equal to the number of shields on that card. So it has to be discarded. So a Ranger has to take an X amount of damage for whatever card they reveal to be discarded to their discard pile. Secondly, it has to go on an already resolved card. So there's a lot of things that have to line up for the Torozord to really do a lot of damage. At most, it'd be 3 in this case, maybe 4, depending on, what Rangers you're playing as. But these are specific keywords from the Torozord that you have to pay attention to, that you have to make sure that you adhere to when using it, because that's the triggers. Did something already go? Great. How much is that that you discarded? X amount. Perfect. Torozord, charge. Jarrod, Jungle Fury Black Lion Warrior. With the spirit of the mighty lion, Jarrod was a top student at the Pai Shui Academy. However, he was also arrogant and a bully, which caused him to misuse his spirit and be overcome by the evil Dai Shi. After many long battles, the Jungle Fury Rangers broke Jarrod out of Dai Shi's influence, but left a feeling of guilt and remorse in its wake. Through meditation and encouragement from the masters and his friends, Jarrod redeemed himself and even decided to relearn all there was about discipline from his new master and friend, Casey, the Jungle Fury Red Tiger Ranger. Jarrod's special ability, Ferocity. Once per Ranger turn, instead of playing a card, you may discard 1 card from your hand to perform an attack with 2 dice. This is very important for Jarrod and his deck because, spoiler alert, I was going to tell you anyway, but here it is now, there are no attack cards in Jarrod's deck. They are all maneuvers and reactions, which is what I believe is going to be kind of a theme going forward for Jungle Fury if we get the rest of the team, because we have RJR ready, and his is very, very similar to this. Many reactions, many maneuvers, and I think that's just kind of a Jungle Fury thing. But Jarrod, Jarrod takes it to the next level. Jarrod also needs a lot of energy to do stuff. He has no X energy cards, only 2 0 energy, 5 1 energy, 2 2 energy, and 1 3 energy cards. He has no attacks, as I mentioned, 5 maneuvers, 5 reactions, and the standard 3-4-3 shield breakdown. I had the pleasure of playing as Jarrod on my birthday, actually, this past year when a bunch of buddies of mine came over and we all fought Cyclopsis. And let me tell you, Jarrod's tough to use. He's fun. And let me tell you, when I got him going and figured out like the best combo that I could pull off for his cards, he's a monster. He is so powerful, but he eats up a lot of energy. And you also have to be able to play the cards in the right succession because a lot of maneuvers take up a ranger's turn that they need to do something, or you have to wait for that right reaction. Let's start with the Lion's Roar right here, a 0-cost maneuver card. 2 of these are his only 0-cost cards in his deck, which is great because they gain 2 energy, and until the next ranger turn in this battle, each time a ranger suffers damage, reduce that damage by 2. This is great because this actually affects monsters and bosses or whatever that hit multiple times. Take Pumpkin Wrappers, for example. He has that Vine Whip, which is like deal 3 damage, deal 3 damage, deal 3 damage, or 2 damage, or something along that ways, where it's dealing it multiple times in one hit. Or in a thing where it's like 9 damage to the rangers divided as they choose. Each one of the rangers is a separate hit from that attack. Lion's Roar reduces every one of those hits by 2. It takes the ranger's turn, but this is the best setup move you could possibly have that I've ever seen in the game, because not only are you gaining the 2 energy, yes, you lost the ranger's turn, but now you go into an amazing defensive stance where every attack is reduced by 2. Next we have his Lion Combo, 1 energy reaction card. Play this card when any ranger defeats an enemy card with an attack. You may perform an attack with 2 dice. Now, again, it's 1 energy for 2 dice. It's not the best. Normally you see 1 energy being able to roll 3 dice, but because this is a reaction to somebody defeating a card and then Jarrod coming in and kind of just sucker punching somebody else, this is the continuation of the ranger's turn. So I kind of see why it's 1 energy for 1 less dice, because it's just a follow-up attack to whatever Jarrod did, or to whatever the ranger did, I should say, or whatever. And it's any ranger, so, I mean, Jarrod's not going to be doing anything. But if another ranger happens to defeat a card, Jarrod can just kind of come in, and as you can see right here in the card, we'll bump him really good. Another reaction over here, the Intercepting Strike for 1 energy. Play this card when any ranger discards a card for defense. Deal an amount of damage to an enemy card of your choice equal to the number of shields on the discarded card. Again, wording is super important here, as I mentioned with Mike before. The card has to be discarded. So it's like if one attack is going towards a ranger, they flip over a 3 shield, the 3 shield goes to the bottom of the card. You can't play Intercepting Strike because the card was not discarded. Now, if they discarded a 3 shield card, by all means, play this 1 energy because you get to deal 3 damage to a card of your choice, which bypasses guard, because this is not a targeted attack, because this is a reaction, this is not a full-on attack of sorts. Then that 3 damage can go to any card you want. Wipe out a card that's really low on health, wipe out a passive that's really annoying, things along that ways. I used this card several times during battle. Let me tell you, yes, again, he eats energy up like crazy, but it's worth it. It really is. One of my favorite cards in his deck, Claws of Fire. 2 energy maneuver card. Choose an enemy card with a health value of 4 or less. Immediately defeat that card. Doesn't matter what it is. Guards don't matter. Passives don't matter. Other abilities, things along that ways. So it's a health value of 4 or less. I don't know if that really matters in terms of like printed value or not. Like, is the printed value have to be 4 or less? Or if something is on the field, if they manipulate the health value of the certain card, does that mean that you can't play Claws of Fire? Because again, we played against Cyclopsis, and one of his abilities is all of his other cards go up 1 health. I could have used Claw of Fire against, could I have used it on the other card that was 4 health that's technically 5 because it's a printed 4? I mean, I ended up using it on the card anyway in order to knock down everything else, but man, Claws of Fire can really change the tides in battle immediately, because if there's a card that's being guarded that's just giving you such a problem and it's a monster card, most likely it's going to have 4 health on it. Claws of Fire burns it a lot. Oh man, I love this card. So good. So many great ways to use it. Keep in mind 2 things. That's the ranger's entire turn, but you know, instantly defeating a card is not a bad thing. And also, it is not an attack from Jarrod. Remember that as well. Not for this card, but for the next one. Zocado Power, 1 energy reaction card. Play this card at the start of any ranger turn. Until the end of this turn, add 1 die to each attack. Only one of these in his deck. Again, this plays off of his defense card before, where every enemy attack is reduced by 2. If you have a ranger in the fight that is going to be able to do multiple attacks in the turn, 2 attacks here, 2 attacks here, you know, just boom, 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 Zaccato Power will increase each one of those attacks by 1 die. There's a lot of rangers out there that do multiple attacks in a single turn. This is another point where Jarrod comes in to shine, because the last one, pure defense, in order to be able to knock down all like multiple enemy attacks from one source. Now he's able to increase damage from a single ranger on multiple sources. So awesome, amazing. And finally, we have my favorite card in his deck, which I was not sure how much I liked until I ended up playing it during my game and realized that this card is stupid broken and I love it. Spirit of the Lion, 3 energy maneuver. Until the end of this battle, at the end of each ranger turn, including this one, the turn that it's played, if you do not perform an attack, you may perform an attack with 2 dice. This is any ranger. So I play this at the very, very, very beginning of a boss battle, a monster battle, whatever. This is my turn, but I get to do 2 dice against something. Next ranger turn. Any ranger does something else, because I'm just sitting back doing nothing. As soon as they're done, 2 dice attack. I love Spirit of the Lion, because at this point when we were playing against Psychopsis, and we were going up against a monster, I forget what monster we were going up at that time, but it was amazing, because it was like, somebody did something, and I'm like, wait, give me my 2 dice. All right, they're dead. Oh, you did something great, good. Okay, and I killed that foot soldier. It was amazing. I love this card. It is like so many great situations that you can play it in. There's only one in his deck, obviously, for it. It is 3 energy, so you gotta watch the energy consumption, but it's this card, in my opinion, that makes Jarrod so amazing, and at times, kind of broken. And finally, Jarrod Zord, the Lion Animal Spirit. Exhaust this card before any ranger performs an attack with 3 or fewer dice. Add 2 straight damage to that attack. Again, 3 or fewer dice. I believe that you could use this for any attack, even if you're not rolling any dice. So like, I don't know, somebody that just has straight damage for one of their cards or whatever, you're technically not rolling any dice, you're rolling 3 or fewer, so boom, add 2 more straight damage to that. Or if you have a Blade Blaster or something else along that ways where you're rolling dice for the actual attack and then doing something, if you roll 3 or fewer dice, do the Animal Spirit just to add 2 more damage to it. So, love the Lion Animal Spirit, great card. Jarrod, awesome, awesome character to play as. Highly recommend checking him out. He is definitely not for a beginner player for this game. You definitely need to be in the game for a while and understand a lot about it. But once you get him going, nothing stops the mighty lion. Heckyl, Dino Charge, Dark Ranger. Originally an enemy to the Dino Charge Rangers, Heckyl's story began in another dimension where he was very evil. But after a classic redemption arc, he eventually became a good egg, harnessing the power of the Dark Energem and the Spinosaur to be the Dark Dino Charge Ranger. While still maintaining his free-spirited and humorous attitude, Heckyl now fights at the side of the Rangers, learning from his time as a villain to turn the tables in battle. Heckyl has his Dark Pride ability. When you would play a card from your hand, you may play the top card of your discard pile instead. If you do, you must then discard the top card of your deck. Heckyl plays a lot into his discard pile. He is one that's constantly looking at what's on top and how to use that and how to manipulate that. There's a rule in the game where you are not allowed to shuffle your discard pile. It's a rule that kind of gets overlooked and people kind of ignore it because it's like, why would I ever do that? But Heckyl needs it. Heckyl's entire purpose is to see what's on top of the deck and use whatever he has in his hand and whatever card is on top of his deck to his advantage. Inside of Heckyl's deck, you'll find 0x energy cost, 4 0 energy, 4 1 energy, a 2 energy cost, and a 3 energy cost card. He has 5 attacks, 3 maneuvers, 2 reactions, and the standard 3-4-3 shield breakdown. The last session that I did on the channel, at least prior to me doing this video, was the Monster Rush session where I was like, guys, let me know what you thought the best solo team is. Obviously, Green Ranger Tommy was that. I used Quantum Ranger. And then I used Heckyl because I got a suggestion about it at one point. And I'm like, I was curious. Heckyl is one of those characters that I saw these cards and I read the cards initially and I'm like, well, that's a really weird mechanic. I wonder how that plays out, and just never actually took the time to do it. Let's go with his first card, the Clandestine Tactics. I guess that's how that's pronounced. I have no idea. I don't even know what that reference is, to be honest with you. Again, I'm sure you guys will let me know down in the comment section below. Has to do something with the Boom Comics, because there he is with his other Solar Ranger team. Reaction. Play this card at the start of a battle. Gain 1 energy. You may flip 1 Foot Soldier card face down as though it were defeated. You do not remove a Foot Soldier figure from that location. I'm pretty sure it doesn't add to the experience card, the thing either. It's just, yeah, flip it face down, and in a sense, it gives the Rangers an extra turn. It gets rid of whatever passive may be there, or guard, or something along that ways. And then, of course, the Rangers would go before it. It would resolve, and then the Rangers would go after it. If you have cards on the field that trigger when something resolves, that does happen as well with this card, because the card is not actually removed from the battle. It's just that particular Foot Soldier that you're fighting now no longer exists within that battle. They are still in the location though. So I can see this being very helpful, not only to gain an energy, but if you're fighting a monster or a boss and you're pretty close to beating it, or you know you can beat it, but that like 1 Foot Soldier is guarding a card you got to get around, play this at the start of a battle. Hopefully you have it in your hand. Get rid of that card. Then you're able to attack whatever it is you need to. And when it gets to that point, the Foot Soldier line, you get a few extra turns in. Next, we have an attack card, the Talon Slash. 0 cost, 2 dice attack. Standard, pretty simple, 0, just doing 2 dice. However, if you play this card from your discard pile, gain 1 energy. So it's going to be Heckyl's ability in order to be able to play from the top of his discard pile. Now, instead of this being a 0 cost card with 2 dice, it's a net gain of 1 energy, plus then you do 2 dice anyway. He really excels a lot depending on the cards that are in his discard pile, and you really can't rearrange them. I say that in a sense because you can in a little bit, but I'll talk about that in a moment. However, keep an eye on what's there. Always make sure you know what's going into that pile, because you can play Talon Slash 1 turn, it's in your discard pile, then you could play it again in order to gain that energy, and then of course whatever's on top of your deck goes there as well. Watch out for decking yourself out with Heckyl too. I nearly came in. I think I did that once during my playthrough. Or it came close to. I don't remember, but it was tight, let me tell you. Spin Cutter, 1 energy, 3 dice attack. Pretty on par there. After this attack resolves, you may discard the top card of your deck. If you do, return this card to your hand instead of discarding it. Kind of like a whatever point type deal. I mean, if this is in your discard pile, then that would work just the same. So if this was in your discard pile and you played Spin Cutter, you could toss a card from the top of your deck and Spin Cutter could come back to your hand. Yes, it's a lot of energy right there to do multiple 3 dice attacks. Every time you play Spin Cutter, it is 1 energy. But to have it in your hand, to know that it's there, and to be like, all right, I'm ready to fight this thing. I think I can beat it. 1 energy, boom, 3 dice attack. Regardless if it's on the top of your discard pile or in your hand, it's a good thing to have, and it's a good thing to consider as well. Next, we have the Dark Encore, which I like. I think this is one of my favorite cards in his deck. 1 energy maneuver card. Another Ranger may immediately play the top card of their discard pile. Again, no one's allowed to shuffle the discard. Whatever it is, it is. They must place that card on the bottom of their deck instead of discarding it, which is funny because it's already discarded. So I guess that's like the reverse for it and everything, It's on top of the deck, you play it, and now goes to the bottom of your deck instead of it just staying there, which prevents you from using Dark Encore multiple times for the same card. I remember using this with Tommy multiple times for my solo playthrough on that, which was very, very helpful because you're able just to play these cards and do these attacks multiple times. Like Tommy does the attack, awesome. Heckyl would then go play Dark Encore and Tommy would be able to do the attack again. Watch other decks, watch other discard piles, because once somebody does something, you can Dark Encore it and then boom, get another really strong attack afterwards. Just remember to put it on the bottom of the deck when you're done. The Dark Energem. 2 energy, maneuver card, discard your entire hand. Until the end of this battle, you may play Dark Ranger cards from your discard pile, and you may rearrange the order of your discard pile. I assume that means that you could rearrange it however you want. Like it's you're allowed to play cards from your discard pile, no matter where things are. It's like, all right, well, I want this on top now. I want this on top now. I want this on top now. In solo mode, this is interesting because usually you only have about 1, 2, maybe 3 of any one particular Ranger cards in your hand. Using the Dark Energem discards whatever you have left. So it doesn't necessarily build your discard pile to anything huge. But if you were working towards that or whatever and you know it's in there, play the Dark Energems. This way you can swap things around for what you need at the time. It's, again, a little hard, a little situational for, you know, whenever you're in the middle of a battle, because if somebody doesn't have the right cards that you need off of their deck, then you got to kind of dig through what you have in order to get a strong attack off. Like this, for example, the Spino Blade, which I guess is a flute as well. Why not have a musical instrument as your weapon? Most of them do. A lot of 6 Rangers do, or extra Rangers in this case. 3 energy, 5 dice attack. You may ignore the guard keyword when choosing targets for this attack. While this card is in your discard pile, reduce the energy cost by 1. Absolutely amazing, because I was able to pull this off with Green Ranger's Tommy's Dragon Solo, which reduces all cards in battle by 1. So that make this, I believe, it's in the discard pile, but it does say all attack cards are reduced by 1. Doesn't have to say where they are, it just says that that happens. So the Spino Blade is a 1 energy cost card that if you play the Dark Energem that turn, which again would be 1 energy, you can play the Spino Blade multiple times in a row, 1 energy, 1 energy, 1 energy, 5 dice, ignoring guard, wiping out the whatever it is that's in front of you. A lot of the Rangers that I'm going over today are a little bit harder than beginner level ones, novice to expert level style gameplay here. That combo that I just said right there takes a lot to pull it off, but when you do, man, you just lay waste to everything on the field. Keep in mind, always open communications with everybody, and you'll be able to pull off these combos as well. Lastly, we have his Spinozord. Exhaust this card anytime. Any Ranger may return up to 3 cards from their discard pile to their hand. They must then discard an equal number of cards from their hand. So you're not gaining anything per se. You're just kind of swapping your hand with whatever you have in the discard pile, which is, again, not a bad thing at times. Like if you have better attack cards in your discard pile and only defensive cards in your hand that you don't need, use the Spinozord to grab those and toss the rest of them back. It's just kind of resetting your hand and preparing yourself for the future of whatever the battle may throw at you. So this way you have the right cards, the right situations, and the right abilities in order to take down monsters, bosses, anything else that the enemies have to throw at you. And it's any Ranger. It's only 1 Ranger, keep in mind, but still, that 1 Ranger that does this could completely wipe out anything on the field and win the day for your team. Kendell Morgan, Dino Charge Purple Plesiosaur Ranger. Ms. Morgan, as she prefers to be called, is the proprietor and lead scientist of the Amber Beach Dinosaur Museum and a founding member of the Dino Charge team, though she didn't get chosen by the Purple Plesiosaur Energem until much later, much to her dismay and disappointment when Shelby got the pink Energem instead of her. She's very intelligent, but has problems showing emotion. Deep down, she's a bit lonely, but her time with the Dino Charge Rangers showed her the meaning of friendship, loyalty, respect, and most importantly, family. Kendell's special ability, Dig Deeper, always trying to make the best that she can even better. Once per battle, any Ranger may search their deck for 1 card of their choice, then shuffle their deck and place that card on top of their deck. This has to be done all within the deck itself. You are not allowed to grab it from the discard pile. You can't take it from your hand and put it in there either. If you have something, this is something to do probably at the very beginning of a battle, like when everyone has a fresh hand in there and there's like everything still left in their cards, you just be able to, boom, take a card from your deck, shuffle everything else, and then put that card right on top. So if you have a draw ability, then whoever has that on top will be able to get it faster. If it's a star defense power, you'll be able to trigger really quickly. In any case, she's able to take all that information and put it at the ready. Kendell's deck is broken down to 0x energy cost cards, 6/0 energy, 1/1 energy, 2/2 energy, and 1/3 energy cost cards. You'll find 6 attacks, 2 maneuvers, 2 reactions, and she has the standard 3/4/3 shield breakdown. There's a lot of really cool things about Kendell's deck that make you kind of predict what other Dino Charge Rangers would have. Not so much Heckyl per se, because he's kind of his own thing. He's always kind of been his own thing. But like, once we get like Tyler coming out later on this year when the Arsenal set comes out and whatnot, there's so many Dino Charge Rangers that I'm sure that we can just make a pack of just them coming forward anyway. But for right now, Let's see what we got here. Perfect Planning, a zero-cost maneuver card. Gain 1 energy, reveal the top card of your deck. The next time any ranger performs an attack during this battle, add 1 die to that attack for each shield on the revealed card. Now, you could use her special ability, the Dig Deeper power, in order to take a card that has 3 shields and throw that on top of her deck. And then when you do Perfect Planning, which I guess is the point of Perfect Planning, you're planning it to be, well, perfect, as Kendell often does, then that will guarantee 3 dice added to whatever the next attack is going to be. That is crazy. Unfortunately, it's next attack this battle, so Perfect Planning is the ranger's turn, unless you have something that enables a ranger to play a card after a maneuver, like another reaction or a White Tiger's Order or something along that ways. But still, you could set it up in a way where that you can use her special ability and then Perfect Planning to not only gain an energy, which is what you'll need in order to play some powerful cards anyway, but also make sure that you have a 3 dice addition to whatever the Rangers do next, which could be devastating depending on the card they play. Next, we have the Rising Slash, a zero-cost attack card. It does 1 dice plus 1 guaranteed damage, so it could be up to 3, at least a minimum of 1. After you resolve this card, you and another Ranger may each draw 1 card. Again, this is a setup for knowing what's on your deck, knowing what's on top of your deck, knowing that whatever it could possibly be will be able to help you out in the future. And if you're playing with 3, 4, 5 players, having that extra card in your hand during a battle could be very valuable because you may be running low on abilities, you may be running low on cards, and you just need to do something to keep yourself fighting, to keep yourself in the game. That 1 card could mean the difference between wiping out a row of enemies or just maybe taking a little bit more damage and hoping for the best. Next, we got Reversal of Fortune, zero-cost reaction card. Play this card when any ranger has 2 or fewer cards left in their deck. They may choose 1 card from their discard pile and place it on the top or bottom of their deck. Now, that kind of doesn't, like, you would want to put a card from your discard pile on the bottom when you know what your card, the last few cards in your deck are. I've played many games like this where you have a bunch of cards in your hand, you have like 6 cards in your discard pile, you have 1 card in your draw deck, and you're like, I know that's a 3 shield card. Okay, cool. Reversal of Fortune takes something else that you think you're going to need and shove it on the bottom, so this way when a 2 attack comes at you, you're able then to flip it over for that 3 shield, stay in the game, and then whatever card you put on the bottom is now on top and you can draw later. So again, it's all about planning. It's all about maneuvering and manipulating the deck in a way. So this way Kendell knows where all the cards are, what all the cards are. I mean, I could definitely see her being a card counter, like watching it through, like, all right, so I played this, how many shields, what's left? Okay, I know what this is. And then from there, knowing exactly where to put each one of her attacks and, abilities and whatnot in order to make the most out of it. Next, we have the Rapid Blast, a 2 energy, 2 dice attack. Discard the top card of your deck. Instead of choosing a target, this attack deals its full damage to a number of enemy cards equal to the number of shields on the discarded card. Now, the problem is that there's 2 of these in her deck. Now, you could have the second Rapid Blast on top ready to go, so that means when you flip it over, it's going to deal that much damage to 3 characters. This is also an attack, by the way, so you have to adhere to the guard rules. Doesn't matter what it is, you are targeting specific cards, you can't just bypass the attack, the guard, and each one of the creatures would resolve at the same time, so it's not like you can defeat 1 and then have the remaining go against something else. However, this can be really devastating. This can be very powerful if you have a great roll. I mean, that's up to 4 damage right there, to up to 3 creatures, which is more than enough to wipe out an entire line of foot soldiers, most boss cards that you come across. So just keep that in mind as well. Again, deck manipulation, deck counting of sorts is a lot with Kendell here as well, because if you know how many shields your next card is, you could Rapid Blast, knock out a whole bunch of them in 1 shot. Well, many shots. These next 2 cards, I'm curious if they're going to be standards for Dino Charge cards. And I actually don't remember at all what Tyler's deck is. I know that they did the previews for them online and everything like that. And I probably could just go see it like right now before doing any of this. But, somebody will let me know down in the comment section below, or I'll leave a note or something along that way. But we have the Dino Saber here, which pretty much every Dino Charge Ranger has, except for Gold, and Heckyl doesn't have it either. 1 energy, 3 straight damage. So rather than rolling 3 dice, you're just doing 3 straight damage. Awesome, amazing. Any ranger may draw 1 card. If they do, you may ignore the guard keyword when choosing a target for this attack, which means that those 3 damage that you're doing, it's just going to get through to anything that you possibly want. An easy destruction for multiple foot soldiers that can be on the field, whittling down specific, monster cards that you would like to get out of there as fast as possible. So long as any ranger, not even any other, so she can do it herself, draws a card, then you ignore the guard keyword for 3 straight damage. Yeah, I definitely need to look at Tyler's cards, but after I'm done talking about this, just for my own state of mind per se. But you know, I'm sure you guys will let me know down in the comments and everything as well, comparing her deck to his and all that other fun stuff. Because we have the Dino Morpher Blast. They all, again, this is how they change into their Dino Charge forms, the Dino Morpher. 3 energy, 5 dice attack. After you resolve this attack, any ranger with a once per battle ability may gain an extra use of that ability this battle. That is an awesome, awesome ability. When I first read that, I'm like, why don't more cards do this? Those once per battle abilities can really make or break a lot of the games. I mean, Kendell's herself able to put things the way she wants to on her deck. Being able to do that twice in a battle is just phenomenal. There are so many other once per battle abilities that if you had the opportunity to do it again, to trigger it again, to power it up one more time, could mean the difference between going ahead and finishing a battle immediately or needing that one more turn, playing that one card, taking that little bit of extra damage that you really didn't want to take. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it down in the comment section below. I also can't wait to receive the Arsenal pack because I just want to see more of the Arsenal and any of the other fun things that you get for your team. Lastly, we have the Plesio Zord. Exhaust this card after any ranger plays a card. Place that card on top of their deck instead of discarding it. Another ranger may then draw up to 2 cards from the bottom of their deck. I love that because you use the Plesio Sword late in a battle after a ranger has taken some type of significant damage and have shoved several cards on the bottom of their deck that they know are really powerful, but they needed those shields in order to block, because Plesio Sword then enables you to take the 2 from the bottom and put it in your hand, which is amazing. It's up to 2, so you don't have to take both of them, but you know that if you have a 3, almost guaranteed a 3 shield card is on the bottom of your deck, and most ranger 3 shield cards are really, really powerful. So good to have, good to know. And in addition to that, whoever just played a card, it'll go on top of their deck instead of in the discard pile. Lots of ways of keeping rangers alive, lots of ways of manipulating the deck itself. I love how Plesio Sword works with Kendell, but on its own, equally as good. Ellarien, the Violet Solar Ranger. From the Boom Comics Beyond the Grid arc, Ellarien, or Ari for short, is the second Violet Solar Ranger and leader of the Solar Ranger team. She is the bearer and defender of the Solarix, a crystal of immense power linked to the morphing grid. Originally a lone warrior hunted across the galaxy, Ellarien split the crystal into 7 pieces and recruited rangers from across the multiverse to help her fight back against evil. Ellarien has a light in the darkness. Once per battle, when you add energy from your personal storage to the shared energy pool, gain 1 energy. This is an odd one for me because it depends on what rules you use for the shared energy pool. For the standard, like Heroes of the Grid, you don't have to put the energy that's on your character card into the shared pool immediately. You can do it at any time during the battle. So that means that if it needs be, if there's nothing in the pool, then Ellarien can move hers from her card to the pool and gain an extra. However, there are other rules out there where you have to put it in the personal storage at the very beginning of the game. I think Mission Critical sets that up. So it kind of just depends on how you want to play it. In any case, her deck has 2 X energy cards, 4 0 energy cards, 1 1 energy card, 2 2 energy, and 1 3 energy card. Out of all of her cards, 5 of them are attacks, 3 maneuvers, 2 reactions, and she has the standard 3/4/3 shield breakdown. I apologize if I have mispronounced her name through this entire video. Ellarien is how it looks to me, at least the way that I phonetically am going to say it, especially if her nickname is Ari, which only one person can call her that, by the way. And I also don't know all the background for this character. The Boom comic books are very like long and complicated and crazy that I get the cliff notes the best that I can, but I would love to hear, again, a shortened version or whatever of the story down in the comment section below. Let's start with Stronger Together, 0 cost reaction card. We'll talk about that scene that you see there in a moment. Play this card after another ranger uses an ability that is limited to once per battle. That is a once per battle turn that they have from their card. So again, I know that she came out before Kendell. I didn't really know much about her cards. I knew she existed, but I never read her cards to know that this existed prior to Kendell. Also fun that they're both purple. That ranger may use that ability in an extra time during this battle. So yeah, almost exactly like Kendall's. Fantastic way to be like, I have a once per battle, I'm going to use it again and use it again. Stronger Together. Let's look at this card. We have Ellarien right there in the middle. To the one side, you have Andros for red, you have Tanya for yellow, there's Mike right next to her for black, Kim in pink, and I'm sure Heckyl would be there somewhere as well. Those are her Solar Rangers. I don't know if they're necessarily her Solar Rangers, but that's the team that she put together, and she is the leader after all. Power to the purple, you're the leader, or violet, or whatever you want to call yourself. Desperate Measures, a 0 cost 2 dice attack. If there's no energy in the shared pool, add 1 straight damage to this attack. A lot of her abilities are based off of how much energy is in the shared pool. It's a really cool mechanic because she's able to manipulate that in terms of adding extra through her own special ability or powering up cards like you see here based on if there's nothing in there. So it's like, if you want a card to be more powerful, if you want it to be a little bit better, then use that energy. Don't be afraid to use it. I know personally when I play, sometimes I'm a little hesitant about using that shared energy, but always remember at the beginning of every battle to go in the shared pool. Use them or lose them, my friends, unless you can absorb them back to your card. Next, we have the Solar Strike X Energy Special Attack. Before you play this card, any ranger may reveal an attack card with an energy cost of 1 or 0. This card gains the energy cost, attack value, and effect of that card. Ideally, what it is if somebody has a card in their hand that costs 1 or 0 energy, Solar Strike copies it completely. So then you're able to use that card like twice, for example, within the same turn because she's able to play it using the Solar Strike, and then on the next ranger turn, they can play the card that Solar Strike copies. Really cool, really interesting way that they do that. Again, I don't think this appears anywhere else within Heroes of the Grid, and I think that this has potential for being something really powerful and a really cool mechanic that other rangers may be able to get as they're being designed and put into the game. Next, we have the Nova Flare 2 energy maneuver. Roll 4 dice and deal that much damage divided among any number of enemy cards. Remove all energy from the shared pool. So again, this is nice to have if you have that other card that adds the damage if there's nothing in it. If there's only 2 energy in the shared pool, why not use Nova Blast? This is also not an attack. This will get around guard because none of this is targeted. None of this is specified as being an attack, and 4 dice worth of damage is ridiculously powerful. Again, unfortunately, because this is not an attack, you're not going to be able to power it up with moves that add dice to attacks or anything like that, but being able to get around guard and things along that way is fantastic. And if there's only 2 energy in the energy pool, use Nova Flare here because it says remove all energy from the shared pool. If there's none to remove, you're good to go. Next is quite possibly one of the most broken cards in the entire game, Solarix. It's a 1 energy maneuver card. Only one of these in her deck. Of course it would be. It's very understandable why. Any ranger may immediately play 1 card without paying its energy cost. Just think about the amount of 3 energy power weapons out there that could devastate a group of monsters or foot soldiers or things along that ways that people are like, I don't want to play it because it's 3 energy. Well, won't have any energy, yada, 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 yada. You know what? Solarix, 1 energy. Play your card and destroy things. Think about the legendary arsenal. If you're going to be playing a Nate from Beast Morphers, Beast Morpher Gold, that legendary arsenal is 4 energy that he'll be able to play with 1 if he's matched with Ellarien, whatever, the Solar Ranger right here. I mean, it's like, I love it. It is so cool. And I talk about this in such an excited way because I've been a part of a game Actually, my buddy Paul played as her during when I was over at his house not too long ago playing, and he was able to pull this card off like 2 or 3 times in a single battle, just based off of card manipulation, pulling things back and things like that. And it was fantastic. Like, you don't want the games to be too easy, but showing off that type of power is more phenomenal. That's what it is. And if you don't need to pay for the 3, you can always use the Void Chakram to do it as well. 3 energy, 4 dice attack. Not too bad. It's all right. Whatever. After you resolve this attack, if there's no energy in the shared pool, gain 3 energy, which would then set up immediately for another power weapon for another ranger. So it's like, you really got to pay attention to the shared pool. You got to figure out who plays cards at what time, figure out how much energy goes here, how much energy goes there. If it piles up, if it's like, you know, have somebody use a lot of it or whatever. So now if there's 3 energy in it, do the Void Chakram, which, by the way, Chakram, a really cool original weapon that she has. You don't see this on really any other ranger. I like seeing rangers that have different weapons than like swords or sticks or things along that ways. But she'll be able to use it, do that 4 dice damage, which isn't really that bad. It's a targeted effect, yada, yada, yada. But then because it immediately gains 3 energy back, follow that up on the next ranger's turn with another power weapon. And holy jeez, the amount of like destruction that you could do. And finally, we have her Solar Zord. Exhaust this card when there is no energy in the shared pool. Gain 3 energy. Once again, set this up. Oh, I don't have any energy. Solar Zord, 3 energy. Do the Chakram. Oh no, there's no energy. Oh, there's 3 energy back in there. The thing with her, and what I can imagine being if the other Solar Rangers are made within this game, are full energy manipulated. They're not exactly batteries per se, where they're just constantly producing energy, but they're making it in a way that's advantageous for the team. Being able to produce the exact amount of energy that you need in order to be able to do a powerful attack, and then even if the shared pool is empty, refill it immediately afterwards for another follow-up attack. Awesome, amazing, but check out the Megazord. I got 2 Megazords that I want to share with you guys right now. First one from Ellarien is the Solar Megazord. This is after all of her Solar Ranger team discovered their Zord, snapped together to form this. You find this Megazord, you summon it, and you exhaust this card during a battle to gain 7 energy. That, like, to have just 7 energy in a battle right off the hop could be ridiculous, because you're able then to just fire off your most powerful weapons immediately, one after another, and could just decimate anything on the field. Again, with the Solar Rangers, I really feel that they're all about gaining that energy and gaining it to the point where you have what you need in order to do your best stuff that you can do without going overboard. Now, yes, this is the Megazord. This is 7 energy. That is a little bit overboard, but it's done in an awesome way where you'll be able to use that 7 energy however you wish. If you have somebody with an X energy card, just pump it all in there and do some crazy stuff like, I have 7 energy. I live forever because I can do whatever the heck I want. And that is fantastic. Just be careful going up against specifically Psycho Blue, who limits the amount of energy in your pool. He's like the evil version, or the one that you never want to fight against with the Solar Rangers. But otherwise there's not too much else that'll stop you at that point. 7 energy for the win. And speaking of for the win, if you are playing a solo mode, that would be the way I always play. You're controlling 3 characters at the same time. You're always doing this, that, and the other thing. The Plesio Charge Megazord is by far, cannot change my mind, the best Megazord for solo play. At the start of each ranger turn, any ranger may draw 1 card from the bottom of their deck. Fantastic already. Once per turn, when any ranger draws 1 or more cards, they may deal 1 damage to an enemy card of their choice. In solo mode, you are always drawing cards. You are always drawing cards. Every time somebody plays a card, you're able then to draw a card from a ranger you did not play that turn. That triggers Plesio Charge Megazord. Every single ranger turn grants 1 damage to anything you want on the field, which is like my favorite ability of all time in this game. I love this. This is amazing. I would use this in every solo play I could. Probably not going forward anytime soon, maybe if I get into more Dino Charge stuff or whatever, but it's just, oh man, I use this in that Monster Rush. I want to use it forever. It's so good, so good. But that's, of course, just my overexcited opinion on it. I would love to hear what you think of it. And, of course, the Solar Megazord and all of these allies that we have seen throughout this video down in the comment section below. Gotta be honest, I really like the color scheme of this particular ally breakdown. You know, 2 black, 2 purple, and then, you know, the Dark Ranger, which is like this navy color to him or whatever. Love the power to the purple, love those original colors and everything. It's just, this just all works out so, so well. But now that we've reached the end of this breakdown, I would love to hear from you out there. Which one of these characters have you played as? How have your games gone with them? Do you like one over the other? Have you had some really amazing games and some crazy combos with any one of these guys or multiples at the same time? I'd love to hear about all of that and more down in the comment section below. This is a community where we should be sharing all of our experiences, all of our games, and all of the stuff that we have done, because everything that you think you have done in the game, there's 1,000 other things that you didn't even think of. Trust me, I have seen it. I have experienced it myself, where it's like, I've never thought of this combo. I've never thought of that combo. And then seeing certain ones in actions are just chef kiss of a way of defeating monsters and defending the world. Speaking of defeating monsters and defending the world, in the next breakdown video that I'll be doing, I'll be going over to the villain side and actually talking about foot soldiers, which is kind of long overdue right now. I've done a bunch of monsters and things along that ways, so it's time for some foot soldiers to get a spotlight, specifically the ones that are made of clay. We should all know who those are anyway, which means in order not to miss any future Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid action or any other fun videos I have to put out for you to enjoy, be sure you're subscribed to the Home Gamer Dad. If you wish to support the channel even further, again, those affiliate links are hugely helpful for the channel. If you don't have anything like that, definitely go ahead and click on those in order to pick up one of the sets that you see here or anything else that you can possibly think of. There are other ways to help the channel in the description section as well. But generally, as always, your view, your like, your comments, your shares, you being you out there and enjoying the video and going through each one of these Rangers one by one, each one of these heroes one by one, if you want to put it that way, learning about them, getting a better background on them, and seeing how they play in the game is really the biggest part of this whole journey, and I'm thankful that all of you are a part of it with me. Thank you again so much. Take care of yourselves and each other. We are family forever, gaming together with our allies by our side. There's nothing that will stop us now. You guys have a good one, and I will see you in the next one.